Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Arshia, and today I want to discuss about a very interesting topic, and that's Ivermectin. And recently it's booming everywhere. Everyone wants to know more about it because there's a speculation around that this could be the cure for COVID-19. At the same time, there are so many organizations such as CDC, FDA, and WHO are very skeptical regarding this drug. So in Joe Rogan recent podcast, some of his guests are having very strong opinion regarding this drug and its potential for being a good antiviral drug. So if you want to know my point of view regarding this and all the recent news, I recommend you to like and subscribe and follow me to this video. Before I continue more about these drugs, I want you to hear part of a Joe Rogan podcast.
How to do an emergency podcast before. Recently, we have an outpatient treatment protocol centered around the drug Ivermectin. I'm a lung and ICU specialist who's part of a group. I'm an evolutionary biologist. My group, the five of us, we call ourselves the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance. But this cell culture model showed that if you applied Ivermectin to these, it was actually monkey kidney cells, the virus was essentially eradicated within 48 hours.
So it's a well-known drug. It's been in use for 40 plus years. The issue became that discussing this and discussing what you just said on YouTube led to your channel getting now one strike on one channel and is 3 strikes on your Clips channel?
They've delivered 1 strike to each channel, 1 warning to each channel, and they've removed many videos.
One of the things about Ivermectin is it's been around so long, there's a generic version of it available. Is that correct?
That's a key feature of Ivermectin. There's no money to be made off Ivermectin.
And no one can kind of control it. It's not like any pharmaceutical company can manufacture
It's out of patent and not high profit.
This becomes part of the issue.
You can see the point of view of those scientists that was a guest in Joe Rogan podcast, and what they say is not wrong. They're telling the pure truth. They did so many activity tests, and they did the test on the laboratory level, and they test the cells of the monkeys. That basically now is a common protocol to test the antiviral COVID drugs in the laboratory. So basically they culture the cells of the monkey's kidney inside the laboratory, and then they infect it with the COVID virus, and then they test the several dosage of whatever compound they want to see the antiviral activity on it, and then they can conclude does this could eliminate the virus or it cannot. So basically at the last level of this test, they take those cells and they do the PCR on those cells. If they could find a certain amount of the RNA of the virus inside this cell, they conclude that this compound is not active. And if they cannot find those RNA, or the amount of the RNA they find is below certain level, which is the standard protocols, we can conclude that this compound is antiviral compound. This is the very simple explanation. So they're telling the truth, but what about what is really happening and what is going on now regarding these drugs? Let me discuss a little bit about the history of these drugs. These drugs discovered by Japanese. So there was a Japanese scientist who find this compound inside the soil, and then he sent this compound to one of his friends who was working in the Merck. And these scientists could elucidate the molecular structure of this compound, and then later on they could synthesize it, and also in those tests they could find out that this compound has an anti-parasite activity, which is a very interesting and strong activity. So from that time, these slowly turned to be a drugs, and as you may heard, there's a very deadly parasite in Africa which caused a disease named river blindness. So these drugs was very active against these deadly and painful disease, and Merck was kind enough and generous enough to send lots of this drug almost free to Africa and kind of eliminate this problem. So I don't want to talk more about the river blindness. That will be another video, so don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss that. But from that time on, these drugs was used for anti-parasite activity and still have been used till today. But mostly they use it for animal, not for human, because it's very strong. Although the toxicity level of these drugs towards human is very low, means the person must use a very high dosage in a long period of time, only to get toxicated by these drugs. And the reason for this claim, I'm not saying it from the air. Basically, I read so many research papers regarding the dosage and dosing that they give to the African people who get the revert blindness, and the dosage is quite high. It's so high in certain area, when people take these drugs, if the mosquito bite them, the mosquito will die. It's that strong, and they take that kind of high dosage. So basically, at the low dosage, it is not toxic to the human. So I cannot give you the exact dosage, what dosage it is toxic to human, because this is also subjective to your genetic, to your weight, and so many other factors, and I don't want to enter that, and I'm not prescribing these drugs to anybody, by the way. So anyway, long story short, now they found out, after they found out that this drug has an antiviral activity, especially it has an antiviral activity against the COVID-19, it has been booming. And there are lots of countries that become so interested in doing some research on this, including Indonesia and UK. UK voluntarily now starting a human trial for testing the ability of these drugs against the COVID-19. In Indonesia, on the other hand, apparently they are already using it for treating the COVID-19, and some of the ministers themselves also saying that these drugs was effective. So, just for the sake of this video, I want to conclude everything. Could we, at this level, discuss that this drug is really effective against COVID-19? To be honest with you, we cannot. The thing is, if we want to look at anything scientifically, we need to see the human trial. There were so many drugs that could kill the cancer cell in the laboratory, but in reality, it could not be effective. There were so many other medicines such as remdesivir that was effective in the laboratory, but as we all know, even WHO mentioned, it is effective in the laboratory, but in reality, it cannot cure the person who gets COVID-19. So, my opinion is this could be a cure, this could be, but at the same time, it could not be. So, at this moment, we cannot say yes to this or we cannot say no to this. All we can hope is the organizations such as WHO, FDA, CDC, and also other important organizations that really saying that they care for the health of the population, for the health of the society, instead of just being skeptical, they better do the real research. I really hope they start to doing and conducting some real laboratory tests, which followed by animal tests at the same time at the last level on human trial, to see if these drugs really can help or cure the COVID-19 or can treat the COVID-19. But till then, we can just think of this as a possible drugs which may have a antiviral activity against COVID-19. So the one big problem with this antiviral drugs is because it cannot be patented. It's already, the patent has expired and everybody can make the generic mode of it. Every company can make the generic medicine out of it. So it cannot be very profitable for the pharmaceutical companies. So that is the problem. And if you want to know why, because some of the drugs that are patented, they can bring 100% profit back to the pharmaceutical companies. So if there is no money, they don't want to do any research about it. So this is the whole story about the Ivermectin, and I hope it was informative for you. If it was, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friend. Until next time, I wish you all stay safe and well.